Let's be completely honest here. 2025 was not the best year for strategy games. There were a bunch of games I had hopes for that looked quite good in the run up to release, which just ended up face planting. Like Broken Arrow, which recently got a 2026 roadmap for updates and includes classic amazing features like save games. Yeah, the release was a tad bit disappointing, but it's not the only game this year that was released in an unfinished state. This wasn't the biggest disappointment. The biggest, most obvious one, the 800-pound juggernaut AAA blockbuster Call of Duty Black Ops 7. No. I'm not going there. This is a strategy game channel, so I'm talking about the latest entry in the Sid Meier's Civilization series. Civilization 7. By far the most disappointing sequel that manages to alienate its fan base and get even people vaguely familiar with it to scratch their head thinking, what's so great about Civ? Change is at most times contentious, difficult, challenging, but is the problems with Civilization 7 merely that it is a bit too different from previous games? As I said, Civ 7 is a victim of an unfinished development. I don't think they were not given enough time, but for what they were doing, they were making a new type of Civ game. It was a bit of an uncharted territory for them. It clearly needed more time in the oven. To me, the bigger question is what caused Firaxis, masters of the 4X genre and great strategy games, to make such a drastic change to its now tried and tested formula. Is the competition from humankind that pushed them to think to themselves, we've got to do something different here guys, or else we'll get more games trying to make a Civ like that changes the formula and does something more interesting than us. Well, I certainly think so. There were certainly rumors years ago even that Firaxis was possibly lining up for a reveal or teaser of Civ 7. This was before Humankind was announced. Then they saw Humankind and I'm guessing they must have had second thoughts. They needed to rethink Civ 7. Because if they didn't, Firaxis would be accused of being too conservative, too stuck in the old ways of Civ. Could it be that they went the direction they did in the hopes of being lauded for taking the series towards a bold new direction? Especially with the new competition. I believe the adage competition breeds excellence to be true. In any meritocratic system, competition drives better value, better performance, and better quality. But the flaw in this belief, why this sometimes delivers duds, is the word belief. Because we can believe in something that's not entirely true. Belief can be based on false presumptions. And I think that's what Firaxis had, because it is easy to say during development, oh, fans are hesitant because we are doing something different, and different is scary, it's uncertain, it's not like the current game I'm playing. But if all sequels were the same as the previous game, then there would be no progress, right? But there is something to be said about not reinventing the wheel. Civilization 6 is the best-selling game in the series, so it was not because of some survival necessity that they needed to make a huge change in Civ 7. When you've got something that works, something that people find really enjoyable, adding a neat tweak to further improve things, to add a twist to what has become predictable, would be more sensible, and by extension, that would have been a more exciting game. A twist is not throwing it out and rebuilding the entire thing again, although for Total War, you guys better be doing something brand new here. You guys don't get the easy pass here. But for Firaxis, I don't think the Civ 7 design idea was entirely dumb. Ages were to some extent were in the previous games. But to make three distinct ages, that's not a bad idea. It's just the way it was handled, where each age is a total wipe of things. It just didn't feel like it made sense. It didn't feel like Civ, where you attempted to build a civilization that stands the test of time. Now, Firaxis is on a mission to bring back some of the gameplay features, or rather core parts of the series back. They are now talking about bringing back playing a single Civ across all ages. They have to do something since the player numbers for Civ 7 has been a pale shadow compared to Civ 6. Anyway, I do see more concessions in design as we go into 2026. They will probably test a lot of other things that we will all look back and say, why didn't they just do that from the very beginning? Now, as for other disappointing strategy games of the year, Broken Arrow was still tolerable if you ask me. The core part of the game was still good, it's just everything surrounding it, and especially online play, was pretty much a terrible experience. From connection issues to cheating, but some of those things have been fixed to some extent. Looking at the game's 2026 roadmap, it seems like it needed perhaps an entire year to actually launch finished. I mean, why rush the release then? Broken Arrow is also another game that couldn't sustain a player base as players dropped off the game pretty quick. But no, this isn't as disappointing as another game, an RTS that was said to be the next iteration of the StarCraft formula of RTS, the Blizzard formula, Stormgate. Oh boy, I've got a whole video on it. But I suppose people were disappointed even before 2025 when it hit early access in 2024, but it did release as a supposedly full game out of early access in August 2025, not that long ago. A bit too late though, as the people who were excited for a new Blizzard style RTS, the fans that bought this thinking this was the next StarCraft in spirit, the next big esport RTS, well, they all stopped playing the game way before August. Stormgate was a failure even before it launched. The Ashes of Earth single player campaign, which is supposed to be just the first chapter, might be the last chapter now. Stormgate developers Frost Giant Studios took too many wrong turns in the development of the game that it was doomed to fail very early on, like the unpopular art direction, which took them ages. It took them quite a while for them to admit that they needed to change it. Anyway, you tell me, what games were you disappointed with this year? Share with us in the comments. What were you really looking forward to but it ended up being a turd? You can watch this video I did on Stormgate. I played the campaign and let me tell you, I felt scammed. Or you can watch this video on Endless Legend 2, which saved the 4X genre in 2025. Go check out any of these videos. Thanks for watching and farewell, noble friends.